So Tucker Carlson and the rest of the woke right have gone full conspiracy on Twitter over the last couple of days, completely blaming everything on Israel and the Jews. And here's a clip of Tucker Carlson actually calling out an anti-Semite back in the day and basically saying, well, he just blames everything on the Jews. And a lot of people are saying this clip actually describes the Tucker Carlson of today. So listen to this clip of Tucker Carlson from the past describing the Tucker Carlson we see today. Check it out.
I mean, this is part of the sad thing about Pat Buchanan, as far as I'm concerned. And just to restate, I mean, Pat does raise issues that I think are important. I mean, I think that, the sovereignty of the American military, et cetera. I mean, these are not just crank issues. But unfortunately, Pat Buchanan raises them in a way that I think is discredited. And when attacked, he can always fall back on the line, well, the tiny cabal that controls American politics doesn't like me because I speak truth to power. This is actually, incidentally, almost verbatim what he said the other day, that I offend the plutocracy, that I'm a wanted man by the inside the Beltway people, and in every sense cast himself as a victim who is sort of a Karen Silkwood of politics, someone who's so truthful that he's being hunted down by the conspiracy that runs Washington. I mean, it's all a bit much. Maybe Pat Buchanan just says things that are kind of kooky, and that's why he's being criticized. It's perfectly valid to question America's relationship with Israel. Israel has a lobby. It's perfectly fair, as far as I'm concerned, to beat up on Israel's lobby. But I don't think that's the reason that Buchanan is being labeled an anti-Semite. It's this kind of, as I've said, this relentless bringing up topics related to Judaism. I mean, famously, Pat, always beats up on Goldman Sachs, but never Morgan Stanley. I mean, it's really hard to. There is no point at which Pat Buchanan has held a press conference and said, I really don't like the Jews. I think they're a sinister force in America. But I think, and it took me years to come to this position. I mean, I'm not throwing the term anti-Semite around. But you reach a point when you say, well, gee, here's a guy who has gone out of his way to defend Demyanjuk and other accused Nazi war criminals, who's constantly attacked Israel, who's attacked American Jews for supporting Israel unduly, who's implied that American Jews push America into wars in which non-Jews die. There really is, and again, I'm not hysterical on this subject, but I do believe that there is a pattern with Pat Buchanan of needling the Jews. Is that anti-Semitic? Yeah. I mean, after a while, you conclude it is, in some sense, anti-Semitic. I mean, Pat Buchanan obviously has a lot of personal and affectionate relationships with people who are Jewish. So on a personal level, perhaps he's not, but on a different, maybe thematic level, I think he probably is. I think that people should be allowed to have differing views on immigration. I think people should be allowed to point out the fact that there is an Israeli lobby, and yes, it's powerful, and debate the merits of that, I guess. I don't think there's, strictly speaking, anything wrong with that. But again, I think Pat Buchanan is part of the reason it's so hard to have that conversation, because he discredits it by his presence, because he gives people who watch him carefully the sense that he has another agenda that has to do with personal dislike, and that he believes in conspiracies, and that he believes that the Jews are this sinister, secretly organized force trying to affect American politics. And those aren't discussions I think normal people, sober people, should be having, because I think they're ludicrous.
So that perfectly describes Tucker Carlson, because if you've been paying attention to Tucker Carlson's podcast, he talks about how Germany was the right in World War II, how America is basically evil, how Israel is controlling America. This is all he talks about all day. He brings on guests that talk about how there's a massive conspiracy with Israel, and AIPAC is taking control, and this and that, and it's just all right there. It's all exactly as he described himself, or this anti-Semite back in the day. It's scary to see how somebody can change so much, how they can go from calling out anti-Semites to being a full-fledged anti-Semite. And now, he might not believe it. He might not even believe what he's trying to say now. Maybe he's, bought by Qatar, or has some other motive. I heard that a Muslim invested millions of dollars in his company. But the fact remains, he blames everything on Israel, on, American Jews, on this war machine, this cabal, this conspiracy that basically everybody's trying to make America go to war. The neocons, as he calls it, these are all the things that he said are all things that apply to the modern day Tucker Carlson. And it's shocking to see. It's honestly shocking. And I think that this video should get a lot more coverage because, it just shows that Tucker Carlson is such a freaking hypocrite, going from calling it weird to constantly obsess over Israel and the Jews to embodying that exact position and basically forcing the right to decide between Israel and the Jews and being mainstream, because it's mainstream on the right now to hate Jews and hate Israel. It's mainstream. You have Candace Owens, you have Tucker Carlson, you have the Tate brothers, you have just across the board. And then you have more and more people legitimizing them, and it's making the right a very uncomfortable place for Jews worldwide. For more, subscribe to the channel. If you want to help us make more of these videos, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JewishUncensored. Thank you, and have a good one.